All right. Welcome, everyone. Uh, Thank you again for joining today's webinar, Waterfall, Agile, or Hybrid, and choosing the right path. So today's webinar is going to be about these three terminologies. I'm not sure if you heard them before, but they're pretty common in the project management world. My name is Abdullah, short for Abdel. Uh, Over 5 years with Analyze and Improve, over 8 years in the field. I have a master's degree in quality engineering, certified PMP, and also certified ISO 9001 lead auditor. All right, so quick introduction. We all know that the challenges we face when we project manage, sometimes we end up questioning if the methodology we choose is right, or is it the right one, or there is something else that could work better. So during this webinar, I will be covering the differences between each methodology, benefits of each one of them, and when it's appropriate to use each one. So let's dive in. Adapting to change is a critical skill for organizations in today's dynamic business environment. Change can arise from various factors, such as the market trends, technological advancements, customer demands, or even internal factors. The projects often face unexpected challenges, like shifting priorities or requirements. Where are we saying this? Well, the project management methodologies provide frameworks and approaches to effectively handle and adapt to these changes. By embracing adaptable methodologies, you yourself as a project manager can enhance your ability to respond and change, deliver successful projects. So I will explain and give examples of changes in the next few slides. And we'll start with the waterfall methodology. So the waterfall methodology is a linear and a sequential approach to project management. It follows a step-by-step progression where each phase is completed uh, basically uh, before moving on to the next one. The methodology itself gets its name from the uh, analogy of a waterfall flowing steadily downwards without any backward movement. The waterfall methodology typically, let me just laser. So it typically it consists of the five sequential phases. So you have the first one, which is requirement gathering. Here, the project requirements are thoroughly documented and analyzed. And then you have the design, where the detailed system design, architecture, and specifications are created. The next one is implementation. This is where development and coding of the solution based on the design. And then you have the verification or testing. This is the comprehensive testing to ensure the solution meets the requirements. And then the last one there is the final solution, to be basically to be deployed or delivered to end users. And ongoing support, maintenance, and updates are performed as needed. Now, which industries the waterfall methodology is commonly used in? So the waterfall methodology is often applied in industries or projects with well-defined and stable requirements, where predictability and thorough planning are crucial. So as an example, we have construction projects, for example, uh, like building infrastructures, bridges, or large-scale construction projects. We already know how a building would look like. We have enough written in a scope, so there is no need in going hybrid and innovating. Same thing with manufacturing. So developing new products, assembly line setup, or process optimization. Then you have regulatory compliance, where implementing industry-specific regulations or standards, and documentation in intensive projects. So if it's a project that requires a lot of documents, then this is a good methodology to follow. Now, what are the benefits of a waterfall methodology? So first one, you have clear structure and defined milestones. The waterfall methodology provides a clear and well-defined structure for project execution. Each phase has distinct deliverables and milestones which help in tracking progress and measuring success. The sequential nature of the waterfall ensures that project tasks are executed in a logical order and minimizing confusion and promoting a sense of direction. The next one is the documentation-driven approach. So Waterfall places a strong emphasis on documentation throughout the project lifecycle. The comprehensive documentation, including requirement specifications, design documents, and test plans, is created at each phase. And this documentation serves as a valuable reference for stakeholders, even project teams, and future maintenance or enhancement efforts. And then the next one is well suited for projects with stable requirements or limited scope. Waterfall is particularly effective when project requirements are well defined, stable, and unlikely to undergo significant changes. Its sequential nature allows for thorough upfront planning and minimizes the need for frequent changes. And projects with limited scope changes, such as infrastructure development or legal compliance, benefit from the predictability and control provided by the waterfall methodology. Now, what are the limitations of this methodology? So first, you have lack of flexibility in accommodating changes. So limited flexibility in accommodating changes during the project lifecycle. Once a phase is completed and it's delivered and its deliverables are finalized, it can be challenging and costly to make changes to earlier stages. Changes requested after the initial planning phase may require significant rework and impact project timelines and budget. So basically, if you want to make a change, you can still make a change, but it will require a change request. It has to go through the board, and they have to vote on whether they want to go with a change or not. So it's time consuming as well. Limited customer involvement until the end. So Waterfall often involves limited customer or you want to call it stakeholder involvement. Customers might have limited opportunity to provide feedback or influence the project's direction until the final deliverable is presented. So this limited involvement can actually lead to misalignment between customer expectations and the final product. Potentially could result in dissatisfaction or rework. You can only imagine if you've been working on a product for 6 months and then the customer at the end would say, no, that's not what I was looking for. So these are kind of like the limitations of this methodology. And then you have a high risk of project failure if initial requirements are inaccurate. Waterfall, as I mentioned before, it relies heavily on upfront requirement gathering and documentation. If the initial requirements or requirements are incomplete, inaccurate, or not properly understood, it can lead to project failure. So again, inaccurate requirements may result in the development of solution that doesn't meet the stakeholders' needs, leading to wasted time, effort, and resources. All right, now we're done with the waterfall methodology. I'm going to move to the next methodology, or the second one. So the Agile methodology, or Agile Scrum framework. So the Agile methodology is an iterative and incremental approach to project management. So what do we mean by that? It basically focuses on delivering value in small increments or iterations, allowing for continuous feedback, adaptation, and improvement. And the Agile methodology promotes flexibility and responsiveness to change throughout the project life cycle. So what are the key characteristics and principles of the Agile? First one, you have collaboration and communication. So here, Agile emphasizes frequent collaboration and open communication among team members, stakeholders, and customers. The second one is iterative development, where projects are divided into short iterations called sprints. You've probably heard this before, or you're going to hear it in the future. So with each iteration delivering a potentially shippable increment of a product. And then the next one is continuous feedback and adaptation. So regular feedback loops and review sessions enable all the adjustments, refinements, and the incorporation of new insights. Then empowered and self-organized teams, where this methodology encourages teams to be self-organized and empowers them to take a decision or make decisions collectively. And then embrace and change, where the methodology itself looks at it as a natural part of the development process and incorporates changes efficiently, because sometimes we don't know what the product would look like at the end of the project. So we improve it on the go. Now, what are the kind of like industries that this methodology is commonly used? You have it heavily used in software development. So Agile methodologies such as Scrum and Kanban are widely used in software development projects. You have applications, websites, web apps. All of these they require a certain methodology that is similar to Agile, and basically they use in either Agile or Hybrid. You also have it used in digital marketing and product development and creative and design projects that require that frequent feedback loops to basically improve the product. The other thing that I didn't mention is also it allows you to over time still make a product that also looks shippable. So let's say between each sprint, we can still, even if the project is not completed yet, we can still basically produce something out of this and then improve on the go. I'll give you an example of that, like websites or applications. Sometimes you'll have an application that is on a beta version, and then you will have improvements on the go until you get the final product. And even then, you still have version 1 or 2 or 3. Now, what are the benefits of Agile? Flexibility and adaptability to changing requirements. So Agile methodologies excel in environments where requirements are dynamic and subject to change. Agile teams are flexible and can quickly adapt to evolving customer needs, market conditions, or business priorities. The iterative nature of this methodology allows for frequent reassessment and adjustment of project scope, ensuring that alignment with changing requirements. Second one is continuous customer involvement and feedback. As I mentioned before, this methodology prioritizes frequent customer involvement throughout the whole project lifecycle, where customers or stakeholders are actively engaged in providing feedback, reviewing work in progress, and shaping directions of the project. This continuous involvement helps to ensure that the delivered product meets customer expectations and delivers the desired value. And then the last one is improved collaboration and communication within the team or within teams. The methodology itself fosters collaborative and communicative work environment. So this we call it cross-functional team, collaborate closely daily, facilitating knowledge sharing, problem solving, and decision making. And that's where they meet during the meetings, and usually called sprints or retrospective meetings. And agile practices such as, again, as I mentioned before, those retrospective meetings, that in those meetings, they promote transparency, feedback, and a shared sense of ownership for everyone that is involved in the project. Now, what are the limitations of Agile? So challenges in managing large or complex projects. So Agile methodologies may face challenges when applied to large-scale projects or projects with complex interdependencies. The other thing is coordinating multiple teams, integrating different components, or managing extensive documentations can be more challenging in Agile. The other things are also limitations of this methodology. So you have requirements that can be difficult to define upfront. As I mentioned before, sometimes you don't know what the product looks like. So here, Agile methodologies recognize that the requirements involved and are often not fully understood at the beginning of the project. So this can make it challenging to define all requirements upfront, especially for projects with uncertain or rapidly changing business needs. The other thing is Agile embraces an iterative and adapting approach to requirements gathering, allowing that flexibility and adjustment throughout the project. And then you have the other one, which is dependency on active customer involvement. So the methodology rely on close collaboration and active involvement of customers or stakeholders throughout the project. The lack of timely feedback or decisions from customer can result in delays or misalignment in the project. And as a little note, if customers are not actively engaged or have limited time, it can basically hinder the effectiveness of Agile practices. And therefore, we do those meetings frequently with the customer. So basically, the way you look at it is if the customer wants to be involved all the time, basically full time, you're basically looking at an Agile methodology. If he doesn't want to be bothered, then you're looking at a waterfall. But there is another methodology that is hybrid. So that's the last one. So the hybrid methodology combines elements of both waterfall and Agile approaches to project management. It does recognize that not all projects fit neatly into a single methodology and seeks to leverage the strengths of each approach. So the hybrid methodology allows for flexibility in tailoring the project management approach based on the project's specific needs and characteristics. It leverages the structured planning and clear milestones of Waterfall, along with adaptive and iterative nature of Agile. So this methodology can be customized based on factors such as project size, complexity, stability, or customer involvement. Now, what kind of industries hybrid methodologies commonly used in? So you still have software development projects with a fixed budget and timeline, but they evolve in requirements by benefit from a hybrid approach. The other thing is large-scale construction projects that require detailed upfront planning, but also need the ability to adapt to changes during implementation. Sometimes we're working in an environment where we don't know how the temperature would react or how the environment is. So we basically go hybrid. The other thing is government projects that have regulatory compliance requirements and need the flexibility to incorporate stakeholder feedback. So again, it's heavy on documentation, but they would still need that involvement of daily feedback from the stakeholders. Therefore, it's a mix of two. And then you have healthcare IT projects that evolve integrating existing systems with new technology and require a balance between stability and adaptability. And the list goes on and on and on. Now, what are the benefits of this methodology? First one, you have increased flexibility while maintaining that structure. So the hybrid methodology provides increased flexibility compared to the waterfall while still maintaining that approach of Agile. It allows for adaptations and changes during the project's lifecycle, accommodating evolving requirements or unforeseen challenges. By blending the sequential nature of Waterfall and Agile's iterative mindset, the hybrid approach strikes a balance between the two, and it is the adaptability and the structure that we're talking about. Then the next one is suitable for projects with some level of uncertainty, where it enables teams to address uncertainties and changes through Agile practices, such as regular reviews and adjustments during iterative cycles. The structured element inherited from the waterfall methodology can provide stability and control, ensuring essential project components are planned and executed effectively. And then the last one is tailored approach based on project needs, where it allows project teams to determine the appropriate balance between waterfall and agile elements based on factors like project size, the complexity of the project, and the number of stakeholders, and what are the requirements of these stakeholders. So hybrid approach encourages a pragmatic and customized approach where leveraging the strengths of each methodology to optimize project outcome. Now, the considerations for choosing methodology. First one, we have to keep in mind the project requirements and complexity. The choice of methodology should consider the project-specific requirements and complexity. The waterfall is suitable for projects with well-defined and stable requirements or scope, where agile or hybrid might be maybe more appropriate for projects with evolving or uncertain requirements. Analyzing the level of complexity, dependencies, and risk associated with a project can help determine the optimal methodology. The other thing is the team size and expertise. So the size and expertise of the project team play a crucial role in selecting the methodology. Excuse me. The waterfall is often favored for large teams with special roles, while Agile encourages collaborations in self-organizing teams. Assessing the team's skills upfront, experience and their experience with different methodology and ability to adapt to iterative or sequential approach can guide the methodology of selection. There is something in project management called a T-shape or an I-shape. So T-shape experts, they have an expertise in one field, and then they have some other expertise in others. Hence the T-shape. While the I is only comfortable with one field. So if you have enough or a mix of all of these, you can actually go hybrid or agile. But if you have a limited amount of expertise, then you have to go waterfall to determine all the scope and the requirements. The other thing is stakeholder involvement and expectations. So consider the level of your customer or stakeholder environment and their expectations throughout the project lifecycle. The waterfall may work well when stakeholders prefer a more hands-off approach until the end, whereas Agile emphasizes continuous stakeholder involvement and feedback. So again, understanding stakeholders' preferences, availability, and communicating preferences can help align the methodology with expectation. And then we have the project management triangle. It's pretty simple. You have the waterfall and agile with fixed and estimated lines on each one of them. So what does that mean? In waterfall, the project scope is typically defined upfront during the planning phase. So it's basically fixed. We can't change the requirements or the scope. On the other hand, it allows flexibility in adjusting the project timeline and allocating resources needed or the costs. However, any changes to the scope during the project may be challenging to accommodate due to the sequential nature of the methodology. Then you have Agile. So the Agile methodology embraces the idea of evolving requirements and recognizes the scope may change over the course of the project. It prioritizes delivering value incrementally and encourages flexibility in adapting the scope based on feedback and changing business needs. But projects in Agile work within fixed timeframes, usually divided into short iterations or sprints. The resources, such as the development team, also remain relatively constant throughout the project. All right, so in summary, choosing the right methodology is crucial for project success, considering factors such as requirements complexity, team size, and stakeholder involvement. The selected methodology should align with project's unique characteristics to optimize outcomes and mitigate risks. And at Analyze and Improve, we recommend to conduct a thorough evaluation of project requirements, team capabilities, and stakeholder expectations to determine the best fit methodology. Now, I don't have polls or questions, but please feel free to contact us, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Shafi.
Hi, Abdul. Great presentation. I guess my question is, with the hybrid approach, is that more of a, like an easier way of doing the job, meaning that I don't want to commit 100% of the resources and the time for agile. I don't want to be 100% hands off with the waterfall. So this is sort of me being a little bit like, you know what, I make a little bit of time and I'm going to give you autonomy. So I guess my question is it more like hands off, and then having some accountability built in, like a regular? So does that affect the timeline of the project itself?
So again, go in hybrid or agile okay, let's stick with hybrid. So if you're looking at hybrid, you're still limited to a certain point with something. It's either the scope, or the time or the budget that you have for the project. It's not like hands off. It's more for people or project managers that sometimes they know what the product look like or what the end product look like, but um, they don't know how to get there, basically, or they know how the product look like, but they want that agile flexibility and customer involvement. So it's not really hands off. It's more, if you want the mix of the two or the best of the two methodologies, then you can go hybrid. But it's not for lazy people. It's still project management.
Yeah, I wanted a polite way of asking that.
Yeah.
That part. Does it affect the timeline? A hybrid, is it hybrid longer than agile or waterfall? Could it be the same?
It could be the same. It does not change the fact that if you go hybrid, you might have a longer timeline. Again, it all depends on, okay, what are you going to get out of it? So if you have longer timeline, that means you have a limited something. It's either that scope or requirements or limited budget or resources.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Well, folks, thanks for attending. And it's 12:30 sharp. So again, if you still have some questions, please reach out via email. If not, then thanks for being here.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Abdul.
Abdul. You explained some terms that I've heard, but I didn't know what they meant. So thank you for that.
Yes, good. At least
Have a good afternoon.
I
Yeah, now I
hope you
know.
learned something.
I did. I certainly did. Thank you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Bye.
Thank you.